Well, having only 2 minutes and being an economist, I thought I would use a benefit cost perspective. You have to have something serious in a funding or recession. So I'm going to start with the costs because I'll get through them very quickly. So what have the costs that stick out been? Reading applications of would-be scholars in a very tight timeline, always over Thanksgiving. But probably the real challenge was trying to distinguish what the letter writers for the sociologists really wanted to say. That took a lot of skill. Really, one word different. Dealing with some kinks in moving to online review. I won't go into that. And then getting stuck due to snow in both Aspen and Boston. Now you can see what a hardship that would be, right, when you had to stay an extra night. But nevertheless, it was unplanned and caused some stress. So what about the benefits? So this is from a private perspective, all of this. It's being part of a program that has led to the acceptance of health economics in most major departments of economics. I think it's played a real role in changing the view of the field, and we saw some of the data just earlier. It certainly increased the focus on health policy in schools of public policy, and it certainly has expanded the number of people who study health in departments of sociology and political science. For me, I've had a special value in that I got to be part of hiring former scholars who are now my fabulous colleagues. So at Wisconsin, we have Pam Hurd, who's a colleague, Susan Yankee, and Stephanie Robert. There are others, but these are the ones that I've been directly involved with. And I don't think we'd be colleagues without this program. Spending time and being exposed to ideas and dialogue at the annual meetings with all of you bright young people doing health policy research. I can think of lots of examples. I won't have time to do too many of them. But one led to my holding a symposium that about 150 people attended, and I think actually led to some improved policy discussions around stem cells. Getting to know members of the NAC, many of whom I view as close friends as well as colleagues. Getting to know over time the different site directors, admiring their ability to run programs effectively and have a really successful programs. Spending time and being the beneficiary of the wonderful program office, from Alan and Eileen initially through Katie and all the others. Getting to know David and Lori as part of the foundation and trying to understand the perspective of the foundation in terms of goals of the foundation. One of the other big gains has been keeping up with much of the current research in health policy. You may not know this, but for me it's led to, I teach a graduate seminar in health economics, and I've used many of your papers. They provide ideas, and it's been wonderful. So one of the things I want to say when I saw the analysis earlier that Alan and Mark were doing, I thought, but they don't include the multiplier effects, and they're huge multiplier effects. They're, the graduate students that I've taught who go on to teach. They're all of you who teach courses in your discipline that is in health. And so all of that has been something that have been an outgrowth and a multiplier of the program. So let me just end by saying that to thank you all, particularly Alan, for including me and having been part of this program. It's been an honor and a privilege. And I hope through participating in APAM and at other places that I continue to see you. I can assure you I will be reading what you produce. So thank you.
Can I get an extra 15 seconds for that? All right. There we go. Okay, so personal reflections. Ruben said it best yesterday during our lunch at the NAC. And I've said it every year to you, Alan. This is the single best conference, the single best gathering that I've had the pleasure and the honor of being a part of. And I've been a part of this since 1998. The enthusiasm, the high quality presentations, the extraordinary feedback, the collegiality, the supportive engagement that we get from everyone, from cohort members, from senior scholars, from NAC members, from visitors, et cetera. It's simply exceptional. My advisor said in 30 years of going to the ASA, the Sociology Association meetings, he never got once good substantive feedback. And I thought maybe that says more about you than it does the sociologists at the meetings, but who knows? The best academic conference ever. Katie, where's Katie? I just want to say, without your dedication, your commitment, your leadership, your expertise, your guidance, your all around being a wonderful human being, your focus on every detail, with all due respect to everyone else, we would be a smoldering hole in the ground. So, thank you. Mark, this presentation you gave today was, in my view, sort of 2.0 of the brilliant, more extensive presentation you gave many years ago. A lot of people have referenced that. I remember distinctly the figure of Johnny Apple Policyed that you brought to talk about the ways in which RWJ scholars sort of planted seeds that flowered and grew into an extraordinary things, impacting and even giving life and birth to entire new fields, reshaping fields, as you showed on the screen today. The best evidence of the impact of this program, and for me, Exhibit A as to why my heart is broken, given that this program is sunsetting. I'll also remember Alan and Mark when we did the Harvard site visit a few years ago, and I said, I've been on this campus a number of times, but I've never actually had the formal tour. I think they both looked at their timepieces and said, we got plenty of time. They gave me a tour. The Statue of Three Lies. I think we went over to Massachusetts Hall, constructed in 1720. Mark told the story about this is where he taught the American presidency, a building that was older than the American presidency itself, to say nothing of the fact that this building was older than America. That was wonderful. I'll never forget that. That was a wonderful moment. I also want to thank you, Alan, and Richard Scheffler. I don't know if you're in the room, but you had mentioned this the other night. You remembered it very differently when I departed the program early. Some people, of course, had to depart the program after 18 months. Their new jobs, their institutions would only give them that much time off. Well, I'll see you 18 months and raise you, or perhaps lower you, 9. I was only in the program for one academic year, and for personal and professional reasons. I was holding my head in shame, though. I thought, I disrupted the program. This was a horrible thing, and I was a fraud. And Alan called me up one day and said, "Do you want to be on the NAC?" I'm like, does this guy remember what happened? And I thought, maybe I'll just remind him on the last day of the last annual meeting if we are ever sunsetted, but you did that for me. I want to say thank you for helping me through that time. So the last thing I'll say, two other things. I want to say thank you to the program, to the foundation, to the NAC, but also to the leadership, Mark and Alan and others, for your unflagging commitment to the highest quality of scholarship, and understanding that could never be separated from intellectual, racial, and gender diversity of the program, that's what makes us strong. So thank you for that. The sunsetting of this program is really going to create a hole, a gap in my life, like it will for all of us. No more NAC meetings, no more annual meetings, no more reading the files of these extraordinary young scholars, no more having these amazing conversations and debates with my colleagues on the NAC. But the most important thing for me has been the making of new friends, meeting new colleagues over the years, and I will miss that dearly. And so what that means is that the colleagues and friends that I've made in past years will be that much more important and dear to me. So I've been a part of this program since 1998, and so I want to thank the foundation. I want to thank you all for 18 wonderful years you've given me.
I decided to approach from a different angle so I wouldn't trip. I wasn't sure I could make that recovery. Okay, so I first learned of Robert Wood Johnson Health Policy Scholars Program as I began to watch young scholars like Kathy Cohen and Mark Sawyer win the awards, and I thought with envy, wow, how come they didn't come up with that before when I was their age? Obviously, because Alan was not there to do it. Alan, it's like becoming the old Christmas movie. Alan was there and created this program in ways that I've had a chance to watch when he invited me to join the NAC in 2008. I had just been president of the American Political Science Association. You noticed that look of pain that went over my face. It had been a very rough year, and so it meant that I had to join a new group and learn about a lot of other things. It was challenging to learn about this research. It was not my research area, but given the framework of the program of a very broad approach, the way the foundation and the way the fellowship was initially created, which was not that every scholar would have a very specific orientation on health policy, but a very broad one, which Kathy Cohen and Mark Sawyer, for example, certainly do. So it was an opportunity to learn about research in an area not specifically my own. I bring and brought to the program an interest in an overall area, overall area of health as it affected and as it continues to affect African American communities, communities of color, knowing that the field of health is certainly underserved, has lots of issues in addressing health policy issues. So that was particularly important to me, and looking to see what the kinds of interest that the proposals that appeared in our inboxes, on CDs, on paper, there are very different ways in which they appeared over the years as we began to review the proposals. I also want to say that, and I told this yesterday to the program directors in our lunch yesterday, at the lunch of the NAC, I learned over the years how extraordinarily complex the process has been of organizing and managing the program, and that is something that's been carried out by Alan, by the National Program Office, by the NAC itself, by the interactions with the foundation, and to look broadly at policy, but also look very precisely at every stage, at looking at every program site each year to, as David just said, as Katie has been very meticulous at organizing how we interact. It was not always clear to me when I started why they wanted to organize things in particular ways, but over time you begin to realize that that attention to detail helps manage and generate and reproduce consistently a very, very strong program. So not just the strength of the program, but the creation of knowledge and the creation of generations of scholars and reproduction of those scholars over time. So it's not something that happens easily, and it's something that you have to pay attention to. Something I learned, something that you should learn in terms of what you take away, both in terms of your research, but in terms of what you want to do in the wake of the sunsetting of the program. How you might come back at the foundation, what kinds of things you would bring in terms of proposals, how you might think about frameworks for this group of people as well as the other networks of people who've been created by the program to reconnect with each other. There are ways of thinking about it. I don't know what they are, but you do. And you'll come up with some ideas about that. I've gotten to know new colleagues, some of them my colleagues at the University of Notre Dame, new ones. Rob Vargas has joined the sociology department there. I'm very pleased about that. Some of the people that I've known from the very early stages of my career continue to be very good friends, I should say colleagues. They're my former students. So I was happy to have the opportunity to share with the NAC and the leadership of the program, as well as the leadership of the foundation, my respect and admiration for what they've been able to accomplish over these last 2 decades. Thank you.